first. Today, like always, I'm joined by Lola.
Hi.
Lily.
Hey.
And Brinkley.
Hi, guys.
Today's case hits a little close to home because today I will be talking about the abduction and killing of Jacob Wetterling.
Oh, no. Stop it.
I know. I had to, though. We're talking about in my great books class. The book that we're reading is about abduction, and this case always, gets me. I'm
it freaks me out. Has anyone read the book?
No,
yeah,
I
have
too. This case takes place in St. Joe, only a few quick minutes away from our hometown of Sartell. I remember hearing about this case when I was little and actually fearing for my life. I remember when I moved to Sartell from Sauk Rapids, everyone talked about this case and I was really confused. People would just kind of bring it up and I'd be like, who is this? Yeah. What is this story? Mm-hmm. Also because I was just little. And then my parents ended up explaining it all to me and I was traumatized. Yes. I was just scared. To think that something so sad and horrible could happen so close to home ruins the little safe bubble I thought this town was once protected by. So, for those of you that were confused like me when I was little, here's the full story of the case of Jacob Wetterling.
I'm scared.
I'm scared too.
I'm scared to rehear it.
On Sunday, October 22nd, 1989, just a little bit after the clock hit 9 p.m., Jacob, who was 11, Trevor, who was 10, and their friend Aaron Larson, who was 11, were biking home from a convenience store. The boys biked to the store to rent a movie and to buy some candy to have a cute little movie night.
That's us.
Yeah, I know that's us, but driving.
Yeah.
Also biking though.
No, but literally. Or scootering, I don't know.
A sad addition to the boys leaving the house is that initially their dad said no, but the boys, just being kids, were really adamant about going, so their dad ended up saying yes. However, we all know, St. Joe isn't the biggest town, and the boys biked this route pretty often, and all in all, St. Joe was a pretty safe town, so it's
yeah, and still is.
Yeah, it's not wrong for the dad to be like, oh yeah, just go, because they've done it so many times before. I probably would have said yeah. Their journey to the convenience store was successful, but while biking their way back home, a man walked out of a nearby driveway. The mysterious man was wearing a stocking cap mask and was armed with an unloaded revolver. I know. Of course, the boys didn't know it was unloaded, so
I didn't know that.
Everyone else who sees a mysterious man with a gun, they're gonna be scared for their lives. He came out of the driveway and ordered the boys to throw their bikes in the ditch and lie face down on the ground. Then one by one, he asked the boys how old they were and for their names. After learning their ages, Trevor, Jacob's brother, was told to run away into a nearby wooded area and not look back, otherwise the man would shoot him. Fearing for his life, Trevor began to run and disappeared into the darkness, trying to search for his way back home. I could not even imagine, what would be going through. I imagine, my
as
little
a 10-year-old.
sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sad.
I can't.
What grade is that? Third?
4th or 5th.
Yeah.
Really?
Dang.
That's crazy.
Oh my god. Oh.
Then the masked man demanded to see the faces of the young boys, so told them get up, let me see your faces. Picked out Jacob and told their friend Aaron to do the same as Trevor. Scared to leave Jacob, but also scared for his life, Aaron ran away. Little did Trevor and Aaron know that this would be the last time they saw their brother and friend. So they were literally the last human beings to see
this child.
Jacob. Yeah.
That's so scary.
Trevor ended up getting home, told his parents what had happened, and they immediately dialed 911. The police looked into the spot where the boys had encountered the mysterious man and discovered footsteps. One set of footprints aligned with Jacob's shoe size, and the other pair was a much larger size, so the police assumed that it was the man who abducted him. Well, and it was a dirt gravel road, I think, that they were biking on, so that would be kind of easy to get your imprints into.
Right.
Along with shoe prints, the police also found tire marks. They took impressions of both the shoe prints and the tracks, hoping they would have something to match the suspect when they found him, so that they had a confirming factor. Now the police were pretty confident that they would find the abductor because Trevor and Aaron were both witnesses. You know, they had both seen the man's build, kind of somewhat what he looks like, the outfit he was wearing, and his voice when he spoke. A day passed as there was no more evidence. Then a week. Search parties looked throughout the wooded area day and night, along with help from the Minnesota National Guard. When I read a podcast while I was kind of writing this down, and it was the Minnesota governor, somebody high up in the Minnesota, I don't even know, admitted National Guards to St. Joe to look for So it was like a all-in kind of thing. A weekend, they were looking at a possible 100 suspects, and while trying to eliminate some suspects off the list, they noticed a pattern in very similar abductions throughout all of Stearns County, some within the same town and many from nearby towns. All abductions were eerily similar. The man would ask for their age and name, then proceed to pull out a gun and say if they didn't follow him, he would shoot them. A very similar case, which I've never heard of this. I remember, listening and reading a few stuff about it, and they kind of brushed past it, but I never knew the real story. A similar case took place in Cold Spring, also literally just a few-minute drive.
That's crazy.
With a 12-year-old boy walking home at night from a cafe. When a man approached him and forced the boy into his car, they drove around for a little bit until the man... This is so sad. Until the man made the little boy undress and continued to sexually assault him. It's so gross. To do that, I never even come close to wrapping my brain around it. I know. Gross gut feeling.
That's the worst. That's the most
I know.
If you talk about any true crime stuff, that's the stuff that I get the most uncomfortable with.
And I read too that this story didn't get enough coverage back then because people were afraid to talk about it.
Right.
It's just a taboo. You wouldn't just bring it up in a conversation.
Yeah, and not only sex offender, but not straight too.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the part that I think is.
Yeah. So before he let the boy go, he had no plan to murder him. He said, he said something uncanny in the case of Jacob. In the same case, to the case of Jacob Wetterling, he said the same exact thing. He said, "Run, and if you look back, I will shoot you," which is exactly what he said to Aaron and Trevor that night before taking Jacob. So the police were kind of that's kind of a red flag, you know. With all these similar stories, the police, along with Jacob's family, became less and less confident. As the day went on, days became weeks, weeks became months, and years become decades. It wasn't until 27 years later, we haven't even been on this planet for 27 years. 27 years later, when a man by the name of Danny James Heinrich pleaded guilty to the abduction, sexually assaulting, and murdering Jacob that night. He was initially in jail for child pornography charges. Of course, wow. Surprise! Wow. But when police made him an agreement, Robbie came into our great books class the other day, literally 2 days ago, and he talked about this case because
our school officer,
Officer
Robbie.
Yeah, he talked about this case, and then the police, the guy had said something about knowing some sort of information about the Jacob Wetterling case, and then they were kind of okay, we'll make a deal with you. If you tell us about it, you won't get charged with a lick of anything you did to Jacob.
What?
The main goal was to, bring Jacob home so that the family, finally knew what had happened, which I guess is some sort of security, know. But I'm I don't give a crap about a pinky promise. Put him in jail for the rest of his life.
Wait, so did they hold true to that?
Yeah, they held true to that. They didn't charge him for anything, but they charged him for the child pornography stuff.
Okay, whatever.
Which still kept him in jail, but still
he would have been done. Is he ever gonna get out? I mean,
I'll get to it.
Okay. Oh my god. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe don't. Maybe don't.
Yeah, so I said the goal of Heinrich pleading guilty is that Jacob was finally home and his parents and family finally knew what had happened to him on that mysterious night. So this is the police file. So it's going to be a little, repetitive, but this was everything that Heinrich was, had pleaded on.
Oh my goodness.
So according to Heinrich's guilty plea on October 22nd, 1989, he abducted, sexually assaulted, and murdered Wetterling. According to Heinrich's guilty plea on January 13th, 1989, he abducted and sexually assaulted a 12-year-old boy, and that was the boy from Cold Spring. So that was just a few months before the Wetterling case. So if they would have, looked into that a little bit deeper, but since the taboo was so strong on it, they were
got him before he...
Yeah, before he did anything to Jacob. And then this was the pornography charges. According to Heinrich's guilty plea, he possessed between 10 and 150 child pornography images.
What? 10 and 150?
But if it reaches that far of range...
Between? Where? How between? I don't understand.
They probably just kept on, whipping them out, from, his, drawers. I don't even know. That's crazy. Including images of prepubescent minors under the age of 12. The pornographic material portrays sadistic conduct and images of morphed child pornography. I can't even imagine that in my head. What does that even mean?
I know. I know. Oh.
I know. When Heinrich took the police officer, so like the police officers were like, okay, well take us. They wanted proof. Like they didn't know if this guy was just yapping to yap,
Yeah.
you know. So they're like, okay, take us to where Jacob's, like where you buried him, and you could still see the remains of Jacob even after 27 years. Like you could see. I remember reading like his coat. Like, he just buried him in all of his clothes, and you could see literally, like, his coat sticking out from, like, the field he was buried on.
You're joking. And nobody found it ever. Like.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
I know. Heinrich is currently in jail and will hopefully end up dying there. Like, I think his sentence, he's, like, 80-something, I think, so he's getting close, but, like, I don't know, I hope he...
Yikes.
This case hits really hard to home, literally and figuratively, and it's such a disgusting thought that a human being is able to do such horrible things to young boys and children.
And did that guy, like, reside in St. Joe that whole like, he was living...
He
like,
was in Stearns County every single time. Sauk Center.
He lived, like, he lived there? Like,
yeah.
He was just a normal man that lived there?
Yeah, and he's creepy, too, I think.
Yeah, I need to...
Well, like, of course.
Yes!
Ew!
Oh, and did he dye his eyebrows or like?
Well, his hair's gray.
So I'm just looking at this picture of this guy, and I'm like, oh, he reminds me of someone from a movie. It's a creepy guy. Oh, that's terrible.
Hopefully, one of his photos is under the Creative Commons, so then I can add it onto the thing.
Or we can AI him.
Yeah. Okay, thanks guys for listening. I appreciate you guys sticking along.
Oh, and that was terrible. I don't feel happy. I had a bad day.
I need to go watch some like puppy videos.
Yeah. I need to go home, but now I'm scared to walk to my car. So
okay, bye guys. We will see you later.
Bye.
Woo!